You're looking at me like you think I'm Chris Christie. I'm not the New Jersey governor, I'm not. I'm Bob Greenberg. I'm going to do some impressions for you. I'm going to do Bernie's favorite impressions, okay? And there'll be no segues. What's a segue? About 5 pounds. No. No segues. First, a Jewish Alfred Hitchcock. Shabbat Shalom. Lou Costello at the John Gotti trial. Mr. DA, are you asking me if I think John Gotti's a member of organized crime? Well, I'll tell you, confidentially, oh, there's John Gotti. There's John Gotti. John Gotti! Thank you. Stan Laurel as Prissy the maid in Gone with the Wind. Oh, Miss Scarlett, I don't know nothing about birthing babies. Mammy says if you put the knife under the bed, it cuts the pain, but I don't know. What, Mr. Butler? You don't give a damn? Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Here's Oliver Hardy calling the sex hotline. Hello. It certainly is. Yes, I would like a spanking. Oh. 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 Well, here's another fine mess you've got me into. Well, thank you, Dominatrix. Goodbye. Thank you. Yes, Gleason. Someone just got this one. Jackie Gleason is next. Here's Jackie Gleason doing Shakespeare. To be or not to be? Oh, that is the question. Because you know that I know, that you know, that I'm the Prince of Denmark. Oh, I'm the prince. I am the prince, and Ophelia's a mental case. No. Now is the winter of our discontent. Made glorious summer by the son of York. A horse, no, my kingdom for a horse. Or a string of Peloponnese. If you tickle us, do we not laugh? Ha, 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 ha. If you prick us, do we not bleed? Norton, will you prick me? Will you prick me, Norton? Norton, will you... Ah! 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 Et tu, Norton? Et tu? Iago, you are a blabbermouth. A blabbermouth. Desdemona, bang, zoom to the moon, Desdemona to the moon. Juliet, what can I say but, baby, thou art the greatest. Elizabethan audiences are the greatest audiences in the world. Good night, everybody. I'm Bob Greenberg. Happy birthday, Bertie.
Welcome once again to The Radical Imagination. I'm your host, Jim Vrettos. What's funny to people becomes an endless debate that, like beauty, is in the eye and mind of the beholder. What we can say with certainty is that most people throughout history have not lived lives filled with kindness, love, gentleness, happiness, humor, or fun. It's often left to the comedians, the humorists, the satirists, the funny people of history to point this out and to somehow find ways to be funny about the foibles, pain, contradictions, and disappointments of life. Many people fear the letting loose and freedom that comedy can encourage in themselves and in others that they seek to control and have power. Comedians have paid a mental and physical price for their artistry, courage, and sensitivity that's included censorship, imprisonment, suicide, death threats, physical threats, addictions of various kinds, depression, and ridicule. Today on The Radical Imagination, we've invited a versatile and talented funny man, Bob Greenberg.
I know a lot of you are looking at me and you're thinking, what is Chris Christie doing here?
I know, but we're not finished yet.
But I'm not Chris Christie.
But Chris Christie will be here soon as we finish this.
Chris Christie's coming?
Well, yeah, in a sense. Now, Bob Greenberg, he's appeared with his gentle humor. That's what you are.
You're Gentile humor?
Well, no, you're Jewish Gentile
my
gentle humor.
What'd you say?
Gentle. I said gentle.
Gentle humor.
It could be Gentile too, a little bit.
Could be Gentile
We'll
too.
see. His gentle humor in stand-up, theater, film, and television, which he performed at the Lambs Club.
Yes.
Is that kosher?
Yes. Oh,
and
you have a lot to read there.
No,
okay.
No, not much more. And
I'll
the
be
Friars
quiet. Keep
Club.
going.
Keep quiet. And also, you were at the Friars Club.
Yes.
You also played Morty in Old Gentiles Telling Jokes.
No, it's Old Jews Telling Jokes.
Old Jews. Okay. You've also appeared on Saturday Night Live and The Late Show with David Letterman.
Oh.
And not only that, in case you've forgotten, which you shouldn't, of course, with the High Holy Days, you're the co-president of the Board of Trustees at the iconic Actors Temple on 47th Street in Manhattan, a shul which for over 100 years, 107 I think, has been a synagogue that serves people who love the theater, and included among their members, besides yourself, of course, have been such all-time comedic, artistic, and athletic giants as the Marx Brothers, Al Jolson, Sophie Tucker, unbelievable, Shelley Winters, Rogers and Hammerstein, Sandy Koufax, when the Dodgers were really the Dodgers and here in New York, and many, many others. All right, so that's it.
Yeah,
it's been great having you here. No, that's not the show. It's just a start.
Oh, it's the beginning of the show.
It's the beginning.
Oh, there's my camera. Okay.
There's your camera.
I see the red light. Okay, very nice.
Okay, that's the red light.
I thought that was my camera, but no, this is
you
my
can have
camera.
whatever
Oh, now that's
camera
my camera. Hi.
There you are, Bob Greenberg, and this
Do you
is.
still think I'm Chris Christie? Or do you? No.
I know. Well, that's the audience. The audience can decide.
You can decide if I'm Chris Christie.
Just like humor is in the eye of the beholder, and if they're beholding and think that you're Chris Christie, then you've either done a great impersonation or they're living in a fantasy world.
What is he talking about?
And we're talking about Chris Christie.
Yeah. Well, I do a chunk of my act comparing myself to Chris Christie. Yes.
And why would you do that? Just out of curiosity.
Well, because we share the avoir du pois, you know.
Really?
But the similarities end because I'm Jewish. I don't think Chris Christie's Jewish. Not with a name like Chris Christie. If you call yourself Chris Christie, you might as well call yourself Christ.
There you go.
Or not Jew, not Jew. He's half Italian, half Irish. I know I look Irish, but I'm not. It's rosacea.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's another. Rosacea is some thing you serve in the high holy days? Or? No, it's not. I'm secular, but okay, I'm catching up on this. But listen, it is such a pleasure. Now this is the second time.
Here. Nobody.
It is. But there's a whole lot. Half of Manhattan.
We got Tiffany.
Is
we got students.
We've got students. We've got who knows what we have. But now
Tiffany is anti-Android, by the way. I just want to say.
We're gonna start.
And she gave me some fresh water. She didn't like the paper.
How do we know?
Let's try
fresh?
some of this water.
All right, to a water. Okay.
Oh, that's good water. Oh.
Now wait a minute. There's another Irish guy you impersonate.
Oh yes, I do a lot of Irish people. Yes.
Why is that now?
Jackie Gleason. I don't know. Well, I think I look a bit Irish. I've been told that.
Really?
Yeah, some old guy came up to me and says, "You have the map of Ireland all over your face." I'm not exactly sure what that means. Maybe that's the rosacea. I'm not sure.
I see. Yeah. Okay. Well, whatever you think and say on that is fine with me. But
is it fine with you folks?
Yeah,
okay.
Because in the final analysis, we're all human beings, right? And dealing
I'm
with.
I'm not sure about you.
Well,
all right, okay.
Today I am. But the point is really the academic in me is going to pull us together here in some way.
Academic.
I know, but it's going to be a fun academic. Look, don't the comedians try to do Irish, Jewish, Puerto Rican, whatever? What do they do? What do they try and do?
The comedians try to do. Yeah. They try to tell the truth. I can tell you, even on Rosh Hashanah, a high holy day, I'm reading from the scripture. A tale about somebody with two wives. One wife has two sons. Yeah. The other wife is childless. Okay. So I speak about her being childless. And the next line, as I'm reading from the scripture, right, at the Bima, I'm reading it and I'm supposed to say, her rival taunted her because she was childless. Well, what do I say?
Her rival?
I say, her rival.
Her rival, okay.
Her rival taunted her because she was a childless cat lady. And I just said it.
Oh, my.
And the laughter, mind you, this is during a service, the laughter was incredible. It rippled. It was like a wave, like, oh, what did he say? Oh, what did he... Just like this. And I had to hold it, hold the laugh. You don't want to speak over your laugh. So I'm holding the page and I'm just kind of squinting, like, is that on the page? And I'm going like this. And then I continued straight, But luckily, I didn't get any criticism. Actually, the rabbi told me later that I killed in Rosh Hashanah services. I won't do that at Yom Kippur, I promise. I won't.
Because that's more serious.
Yes.
But isn't that also a place for humor?
Yom Kippur, there's fasting involved, so I get a little hangry. So I don't know how much humor you'll get out of me.
But would you agree that your humor is a gentle humor?
My humor is a gentle humor. I kind of talk about, I do self-deprecating stuff about myself. I'm not a put-down comic. An old friend of mine, Jeffrey Ross, is of that school.
Of course.
The roast master general. Wow. Yes. So.
What do you think of those sorts of?
Well, I kind of was actually doing that one. It's an interesting way to engage people, but now we're in these very difficult PC time where you can't really make fun of anybody, quote unquote, make fun of anybody. So you have to be more careful of what you say, you know, because I mean, what's his name said a childless cat lady, and I'm quoting it on Rosh Hashanah, you know, the stuff gets around. So comedy is a little more difficult today, in satire at least.
But even, would you say and agree, it's even more needed because of the uptightness and needing to bring people together to laugh?
The whole thing about being a comedian is calling attention to the obvious, you know. A line my friend Jeffrey Ross used to have at Caroline's. Caroline's, I think, is closed now, unfortunately. But they had some sort of a design where it was like blocks and there were holes and blocks. It was this kind of thing. And, you know, Jeffrey would say, isn't Caroline's beautiful? Doesn't it look great? And one day they'll have it finished, you know, because of these spaces. And that was funny because you were sitting there and you looked, oh yeah, that looks like it's an incomplete wall, you know. So calling attention to the obvious, and then talking about the childless cat lady, inserting it there, it's something that's going around, and they weren't expecting it. Hence that long laugh, like, you know, laugh. And what did he say? Oh, he said it was a beautiful thing. That was probably the longest laugh I ever got at the Actors Temple. I do a lot of comedy benefits there. It was pretty amazing.
So just again back there, because I really do think it's a very important point you make. If it's so obvious, what then, you know, you're just going to say, oh, that's a cat, this is a flower, this is that. Well, it's more, what do you make of the obvious?
Yes,
because you throw
you can't just say, oh, that's a flower. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here all night, you know.
It's artificial, yes.
Please try the veal. Tip your waitress. No, it has to be something that, you know, that people, something, it's usually kind of a flaw, something wrong that you're calling attention to.
Takes you to an edge. It's edgy in a sense.
Yes, you're saying something. I mean, look, I was on the bus today, and you should never take a bus. If you see lots of kids in uniforms, like they're coming from some school, don't take the bus. One kid had a peanut butter sandwich. He was right up against me. Another kid was eating some red hot something, so you know the red dust is on the thing, and I'm like, I'm trying to avoid that. And I finally get a seat, and this homeless guy sits next to me. Oh, you're not supposed to say homeless. Somebody who has no
shelter, without shelter.
I forget it. A shelterless person.
Shelterless person. Yeah.
I don't, you know, I feel bad if he doesn't have a place to live, but you know, anyway. You should bathe more. Let's put it that. A not bathing shelterless person.
Or have a place where they could have a.
Yes. And someone should wash his clothes. But anyway, so you know, so those are things that are funny. You know what I mean? Because everyone experiences things like that. So I could just talk about that, and you can relate to it. If you're a New Yorker, of course, if you're in, you know, Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, you know, or someplace where there's no subways and stuff, you know, they wouldn't relate. You know.
But you're also, there's a political angle underneath to this, because you're sort of saying, hey, you know what? There are homeless people out there, and so and we're uncomfortable, and yet, so where do you draw the lines, the parameters? Well, it gets complicated. It's easier to make people feel sad, isn't it, and to bring out the tragedies.
Well, the thing is, I don't do political. I mean, yes, I did do the childless cat lady at the temple, and I actually posted that I did it on Facebook, and there were a couple people that were slightly offended because I guess I'm knocking the Republicans' vice president candidate. Whether that or not was my intention, I was actually just calling up a quote that people are saying.
If I may.
But I was not making a political statement.
This just came out.
It's a quote.
Was it spontaneous? Was it something you had thought about before? I'm just curious.
I had to, you know, prepare for my speech.
So it crossed your mind.
So I had to look at it, and I see it on the paper, childless, childless. And I think, a childless cat lady. I just think it would be funny to do that. So I say the first line where it explains that this biblical figure, had 2 wives. One had given him 2 sons. The other one was childless. So her rival, the other wife, would taunt her because she was, and that's where I put in a childless cat lady. And so the audience knew that it should have ended with childless, but I inserted a cat lady to the childless. So I made the humor. They weren't expecting it.
Right.
Comedy is unexpected.
That's a great point. Unexpected intrusion into what seems to be obvious. And
I mean, you can go back and say when Vance said that, he wasn't taunting. I guess he was putting down somebody who was a childless cat lady. I assume he was knocking that type of voter. I assume.
Yes.
I guess if you start to think about it too much, but it was more about that quote and how it fit into that. And it was unexpected that I said it. And I made a joke of it, like, is this on the paper? Am I seeing that? You know, and I kept it straight. I didn't go, that was a joke, folks, you know? And then I continued straight and read everything. So it stood out as just sort of a comic relief moment.
I'm so interested in the process you go through as a creative person here. Does it have to be funny? It seems like an obvious question, but does it have to be funny to you for it to be?
Well, often I will talk to people, and I'll say something, and they'll either laugh or they'll say, "That's funny. You should do that in your act." And I try to remember what that is. Sometimes you discover the jokes when you perform them. What was I going at? I was talking about, this is Jewish related, I was talking about going to yeshiva. And I realized I had to maybe explain it to some people who don't know what a yeshiva is. So I said, you know, when I was a kid, I went to yeshiva. That's a Jewish Catholic school. Then I was going on to with a joke. Well, they laughed when I said, that's a Jewish Catholic school. But in my mind, I was trying to explain to somebody who wasn't Jewish, it's like a Jewish Catholic school. Well, they laughed. Well, that stayed
without the nuns.
That stayed in the act. And then I was trying to head to the fact that there I learned Hebrew and I was terrible at it. I mean, to me, it all looked backwards. I think I'm Yid-dyslexic. You know, that was where I was heading to. But along the way, I got this extra laugh. So once they laughed, it stays in the act.
Interesting, interesting.
But most, I mean, stand-ups, it's a trial and error process. You try material out. Where they don't laugh, you find where to laugh. But sometimes you're heading to a particular joke, you'll get more laughs on the way.
Were you a funny kid?
Yeah, I did impressions.
What age?
Oh gosh, I guess 2nd, 3rd grade, I guess. 2nd grade, maybe. I know I did Alfred Hitchcock in the schoolyard. I did Curly the Three Stooges. I think I did Laurel and Hardy too in the schoolyard.
Yeah.
Now they were showing them, you know, on TV more frequently. Well, we had less channels. You know, when I was a youth, you had channel 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13. And if you played with the, the UHF, you had 21, 31. Telemundo was channel 47. You know, there was a handful of stations. I think eventually it was 68. So we all grew up kids watching either channel 5, or Channel 9 or Channel 11, watching the same Bugs Bunny cartoons, the same Three Stooges, the same Little Rascals, Laurel and Hardy, and we have a sort of a language. We have a shared language from that experience, you know, where you can make a reference to something that Bugs Bunny said, you know, kill the wabbit or whatever, you know, and you know what I'm talking about. So.
Did your parents, were they funny? Did they think you were funny? Did they support you or said,
yes, my
stop
family
it, Bob.
thought I was funny.
They did.
I was a cartoonist. So that's where they were kind of pushing me. But I went to High School of Art and Design, and there I drifted into filmmaking. And then I went to the School of Visual Arts, where I was there, a film major, and I broke my leg. I got hit by a car. And in those days, not like today, these kids today with their, they can make a great film on a phone, even an Android. They can make, Tiffany, they can make it on an Android. Years ago, you needed a whole crew. You needed a guy in the Nagra with the sound. You needed a boom guy. the film was big. You had to change the film in a bag and feel it out because you don't want to expose the film. You had tripod. Everything was heavy and cumbersome. You needed a crew. And I broke my leg, and I could have taken a whole year off to recover, but I decided to go back on crutches. And it became more convenient for me to be like a talking head for somebody else's student film.
As we're doing now.
And I drifted into acting from that.
Interesting.
And then when I got out of college, there was a big business for film students then. The bar mitzvahs, the weddings, they had video crews. Now, everybody shoots everything on their own phone. They don't even need that type of thing anymore. But I did that a lot, videotaping weddings and bar mitzvahs. And then I also worked at a place called the Video Dub. They used to have to duplicate tapes and send them out to various TV stations, commercials and stuff. So I was in shipping and receiving. But I used to cut commercials. They would send you a 2-inch tape, and you would listen to it, and you hear, and when it stopped, you would cut it. That would be one spot. That would go to one station. You go, cut it. So those like 30-second spots, 60-second spots. And then I wound up being a master tape librarian, where I lost many tapes, and I soon retired from Video Dub. I'm sure they're defunct now. I don't think anybody needs.
But you really immerse yourself in the technicalities, the whole world, that whole creative filmmaking world, and predating Adam Sandler. What he did that great movie on The Wedding Singer, right?
Oh yes.
So you played a lot of bar mitzvahs and weddings. And
well, I wasn't playing.
Art.
I mean, I was holding lights. I was videotaping.
Okay, I got it.
I did DJ once. Oh, no, I was an MC. Getting the songs that they wanted at some function, if it was a bar mitzvah or not, I don't remember. I had drifted into doing improv when I was a video dub, and they had this group called the First Amendment downtown, and they would perform at Folk City on Sunday nights. It was sort of a jam, an improv jam, and I wound up going up on stage, and before long I was with a little improv group that John Leguizamo was a member of this group, as a matter of fact. And they sometimes needed time between scenes and stuff, games, as we used to call them. So they'd say, Bob, go out and tell a joke or whatever. And I remember one of my first ones, there was something called Hands Across America. You remember that? It was a big movement where people all held hands and at a certain time, and supposedly it was being carried by the news. We're all together, Hands Across America. So I had made some joke that I wasn't going to join Hands Across America because I often wake up late, and I might join the line late, and then somebody in Nevada would have to take a step to the left, and somebody
mess up the whole
mess up the whole.
thing.
That was one of my jokes, I remember. But I wound up doing more and more of that in between, and then someone said, you should do stand-up, and I tried that for a while, and I wound up doing commercials and theater, and so I've been, a jerk of all trades.
All over, but
I'm a single threat. No,
but
I wound up doing, a little stand-up, and I would stop and do a little theater, and then I would do a film or whatever, and that's basically murder mysteries and things like that. So that's basically where my career has been, here and there.
And you gravitated, or did you, to ethnic humor? Or
well,
how do you feel about that? Or
in my act, initially, I had a couple of jokes about being Jewish, but then I got cast in this play called Old Jews Telling Jokes, which was based on a website that people used to videotape their grandfather or their father telling these jokes, and these guys, very bright guys.
Very popular,
this thing, and they assembled all these jokes into a play form. Some of the jokes became sketches.
Yeah.
Some became just verbal jokes, you tell to the audience. Some became monologues about their lives and stuff. And it became a very popular play. And they literally put it up across the street from where I live in New York City. And I auditioned for it, but at the time, I was too young to play any of the old Jews, although there was one old Jew that was like 60. It's too young. And I was too old to play there was a young Jew. So I was too old. So I didn't play played in New York. About a year later, after they finished their run in New York, there was a Northeast tour, and I auditioned for that. So for me to be an old Jew's telling you, I had to go walk over to Port Authority and go to Philadelphia and all these other places. And I was on tour with that show for a few years.
So you aged in that year enough. So
I was close. You're right.
So, yeah,
well,
yeah.
I played Morty. Morty is described as a 60-year-old. He's almost like the MC. So he's supposed to be a little. It didn't. I guess on the road they didn't seem to be that conscious of what it said. In the script as to, we had a woman who wore a white wig. We had that kind. People would. Look. Yeah. I looked a little old. I grew a beard. As best as I just spat on you there.
It's okay. It's
all
right.
High def. You see the spit going like that.
It's okay.
Anyway,
clean.
The juices are flowing here on 104th Street.
To juice.
I guess it's time
water.
Time for some water.
L'chaim. Okay.
No, that's good water, Tiffany. No.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I taught. So yeah, then what happened was, these jokes became part of my act, and I made it an important part of it, actually, for my longer sets. And then I got all these bookings. There's a Borscht Belt Museum now in Ellenville, and
really?
I did a Borscht Belt Museum fundraiser. I performed the Borscht Belt Fest 2 years in a row. I headline a show called Borscht Belt Classic, and they have all these different events and stuff. So I wound up falling, and there's a place called the Borscht Belt Deli in Bucks County that I've played at. I'm going to play at again, I think in November. So I kind of fell into that groove of the Jewish material. But my act is not specifically Jewish. Right. I mean, I tell some Jewish jokes. I tell fat jokes. I wonder why. I do impressions and
right.
Yeah.
And I would imagine a lot of older Jewish people are watching those shows.
Yeah,
going to that.
I'm lucky when I play like a comedy club like the Gotham or whatever. I have enough material. If you go on YouTube, you'll see me at the Gotham Comedy Club. And I make a joke that I'm a little too young for this crowd. They were much too young for me, let's put it that way. But the material that I did for them, I knew they could relate to.
Yeah,
Yeah. And the impressions they could relate to as well. Younger crowd know the Three Stooges. They know the Honeymooners. Those are on a lot. They even know Alfred Hitchcock, surprisingly. When you get into Abbott and Costello and Laurel and Hardy, they're a little shaky on that. But they do know who's on first, a lot of them. But I can tell you, the one blessing I have is that I'm funny doing it, so I still get laughs, but it's a different kind of, like if I'm doing Jackie Gleason, and I go like this with my hand. Now, if you're a Gleason fan, you know that's one of his gestures.
Absolutely.
If I do this and they laugh, I know they're big Honeymooners fans, and they know it. If I do this and they don't laugh, it's going to be a little bit of a time. You know what I mean? It's going to be a little bit of a while until I start going, you know that I know. Start doing that, bang, zoom stuff.
How long does it take you to really perfect a character? I mean, does it come naturally, or you have to really work at it day after day after day?
Well,
to the point where you really feel comfortable.
I get an idea, like Lou Costello at the John Gotti trial, or Lou Costello meets O.J. Simpson, or whatever, and then I play it out, and then the audience tells me what's funny. Whatever works, and I continue doing it. So.
Sort of anarchistic, in a way, or one thing leads to another.
Fish out of water.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like, there was something called the Exxon Valdez, a terrible oil spill. This was many years ago.
Right.
Captain Hazelwood, as I recall the name. And this is one of my first bits doing stand-up, and someone had mentioned that he was a real stooge as a captain, and then I immediately thought of Curly of the Three Stooges, and so I did Curly of the Three Stooges as Captain Hazelwood on the Exxon Valdez. And
now that's brilliant.
So I did that.
Who would have thought?
I did that. But then that became old news, and then the movie Titanic came out.
Yeah.
Titanic, still popular. So then I made it as Curly as the captain on the SS Titanic. Same bit. Well, except I put an iceberg in, instead of an oil spill. So,
Right.
So you adapt it. The Jackie Gleason bit I do, I have him doing Shakespeare. So if you know your Shakespeare, it's wonderful. If you don't know the Shakespeare, it's still funny to have this guy from Brooklyn going, to be, or not to be, that kind of thing, it too, Norton, it's still funny. But yeah, it's great if people know the references. It's true that my best audience is ages 55 plus, because they can really relate. But a younger crowd gets it too. It's just they get different things.
And the playing around with the language. I mean, Robin Williams used to do that a lot. And of course, maybe the greatest back in the 50s TV was somebody I know you probably very much admire. He had an ensemble. So many great Jewish writers wrote.
Oh, Sid Caesar you talking about?
Caesar.
Yes. Yeah, Sid Caesar was great.
So you grew up in that rich milieu. And interestingly, I don't know if I want to make that much of it here, you are now, what's your official title? You're a co-director of the Shul.
I'm the Actors Temple co-president. I don't know
Co-president,
what that means,
okay.
But, the president does everything. But I'm the face that shows up when she doesn't show up. And
it's like Harris and Biden now are sort of co-presidents.
I make the appeal. Yeah, right. Right. I'm the Tim Waltz of the Actors Temple.
Wonderful.
Yeah. I'm the goofy guy that everyone can relate to.
But this 107 years.
That's what I am, yeah.
Yeah, but you are.
But she makes all the decisions. The president, yes.
Yeah. But you're appreciating this wonderful, beautiful time, the heyday of Jewish comedians. And not just Jewish comedians, but you have the Marx Brothers here, Al Jolson.
Yeah.
And Rodgers and Hammerstein and Shelley Winters and so on.
The little spiel about the Actors Temple was,
tell us.
The temple, I guess, was formed about 1917. I think the shul, the synagogue, was built about 24. And it was catering to the Jewish merchants, because it's 47th Street, it's Hell's Kitchen, it's between 8th and 9th, and was catering to the Jewish merchants. Product would come in off the ships, and they had to get onto wagons or trains to get to Penn Station or Grand Central Station. And
except for the diamonds that you had the.
Well, we won't go into that.
That was taken by.
That's a cutting remark. No.
No. It was. They had their own means of transportation.
Yeah, we won't go into diamonds. What's he bringing up diamonds for? What's this?
No, all right, go ahead. Yeah. I know.
So time passed, and planes came into the picture, and the whole system of transportation of goods altered.
Right.
And the merchants moved out.
Right. Hell's
Kitchen became more funky. And the rabbi there, Rabbi Bernstein, I think his name was, said, well, we're not getting the clientele we once got. Let's go to Broadway. There's a lot of Jewish performers. And so he catered to that crowd. And they wound up doing benefits like I do and Carol Ostro does at the Actors Temple. And they start showing up for services. There's a famous story about Shelley Winters corralling a bunch of Jewish performers. They were making a film nearby, and they showed up on Yom Kippur, to do Kol Nidre or whatever, or do Yiska or whatever. And, so that we've had our celebrities there. They say 2 of the 3 Stooges came to services. They don't exactly know which 2. I think it's Moe and Curly, because they were brothers. I think Larry, I don't think I'll go to shul. No, I don't. But whatever. So we've had
more
a lot.
How about the Marx Brothers? Who went to shul there?
I don't think the Marx Brothers ever went. I think Harpo did a benefit for us.
Okay.
They would do the benefit sometimes not at. We have a theater now. Like a lot of churches have theaters. Our shul has a theater, and it also is a shul at the same time. So we do our benefits there often, although we've done a couple at the Friars Club. Back in the day, if they were to do a benefit for the Actors Temple, or Temple Ezra Israel, as it was originally called, they would do it at a Broadway theater. They would do it at some other, but now we do it actually at the shul itself. But it becomes a theater then.
Who are some of your favorite comedians today, and what is the state of comedy as you see it?
Well, I like Jon Stewart.
Okay.
Jon Stewart, he still does The Daily Show. He's very funny. Steve Colbert is funny. Seth Meyers makes me laugh. I like Seth Meyers a lot. Doing stand-up, I'm trying to think. Well, I was a big fan of Gilbert Gottfried's. He's passed away.
Right.
Kevin Meaney, who many people compare me to, he passed away. Wow, I'm naming a lot of people who passed away.
Yeah.
Who's contemporary these days? Well, I like Dana Carvey now. He's doing a wonderful Biden on SNL, as a matter of fact. There's a lot of SNL people, Kenan Thompson. There's a lot of SNL people that I like. Of the stand-ups, of the newer stand-ups, there's a lot of good people.
Dave Chappelle?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Chappelle's funny. Chris Rock is funny, even when he's not getting slapped. There's a lot of good people out there. There's a lot of great comics. There's some of the younger ones I don't quite understand what they're talking about.
What do you mean by that?
They're discussing things on Tinder, and I know the Facebook, so they discuss certain topics that I'm not aware of, or it's not common conversation for me. So, but the audience is laughing. So,
right. So these, I mentioned in the opening that if you look at, I'm making a generalization here, but comedians take on, or do they take on, a lot of other people's frustrations and despairs and so on. Does that mean that they pay a price in a certain way personally in terms of their own things that happen to them, and suicide, politically also? Maybe
there's a lot of the younger comedians, some of the younger comedians that I may not get. This is their experience. This is their experience with their friends, and what's going on now,
and around the world.
And with so they're relating to that crowd. My stuff is relating to an older crowd, I guess, but also it's universal. There's certain topics that are universal, but we don't have just 5 or 7 TV stations anymore. Not everybody's on the same channel. We're not all watching the same show at the same time.
Except for this show, of course. They're going to be watching.
Everyone's watching this.
Everyone's watching
this. Like my daughter doesn't have cable. There's a lot of young people, they don't have cable. They don't watch Channel 2 at 11:29, 11:35 to watch Colbert. They'll watch it on a clip on YouTube. They'll watch it on,
3 minutes.
We're not all sitting together and watching the Ed Sullivan Show for the Beatles. We're not, it's a different world. So that's why we were kind of lucky in a way that we had a limited amount of channels, that we were all kind of on this. We all watched Saturday Night Live when it premiered, and we all spoke about it the next day at school. Or Seinfeld back in the day. It was water cooler conversation in offices. We all watched those shows together. Now people watch shows any which way. There's no, Who Killed JR. There's no Roots. There's not like a whole nation watching something at the same time, and then when the commercial comes on, they all run to the bathroom. And
that's,
it's
not to get too heavy on this, but
it's just not. It's not the same.
It's not the same.
We're not on the same page.
Exactly. To put it mildly, we're so polarized.
Yes.
And not as kind to each other.
Well, I think that's a problem too. We also need immediate satisfaction. In other words, someone says something, we have to comment on it or repeat it, and there's no time for anything to settle and people to calm down. I mean, years ago, someone would send you a letter, right? And they wrote something you didn't like. Well, you'd had to sit down and you had to write them a letter, and you had to fold the paper and put it in an envelope and put a stamp on it, and then you had to bring it to the post office, and then they would get the response. And this took weeks, months to have an argument.
Right.
Now, with even
instantaneously
an Android, they put things, and sometimes there's things people will type that they kind of regret, like maybe a minute later, but yet they hit that send, you know what I mean? And whatever you do, don't check your messages in the morning. Make sure you have your coffee, your bagel, your bran cereal. Go to the bathroom, take a shit, and then try to, because people say weird stuff, and you have to go,
Yeah, I think you're
But
hitting
it
on something
lists
very important.
It stays there until someone deletes it, and then still people can find it.
So it's about timing, and as you say, somebody says something, and then it's old news.
Right.
Half hour after that.
But like the childless cat lady, I mean, still, I got to laugh with it. Last
you got
week.
some legs on
How
that.
How long will that last? I don't know, but there will be a point where I go, oh, enough with the childless cat lady. I do a murder mystery show called Murdered by the Mob, and when this came out, I remember I came out on stage and said, ladies and gentlemen, the management wants me to tell you that no cats or dogs will be served this evening. And I said, if it tastes like chicken, it probably is, And that was very topical, big laugh. But at this point, nobody wants to hear about the cats and dogs being eaten. You know what I mean? It's
well, Trump sort of resurrected that.
Well, but
they're coming across the border.
But when
the migrants are eating the cats and dogs.
Yeah, but now that's like
it's over.
At some point, between Colbert, between Jon Stewart,
right.
between Jimmy Fallon, I'll throw him in there. Kimmel, I like Kimmel too. It runs a certain course, you know what I mean? So that's why I don't do too much topical humor. I try to keep it more biographical and broader so that, Jackie Gleason doing Shakespeare, The Honeymooners doing Shakespeare, is timeless. I never have.
That was my next question. What makes for a universality or timelessness, reaching so many people? The timing, impeccable. Jack Benny, or Rodney Dangerfield.
Right.
I mean, how do you work on timing as a stand-up comedian, or do you see comedians working at that?
Yeah, well, you have to listen.
What are you listening to? Yeah.
Well, you listen and you have to react. For instance, I'll give you an example that I mentioned earlier about inserting a childless cat lady into my reading at the synagogue. I did it, and I was about to go on to the next line, and I heard this ripple of laughter. So I listened to it, and I was about to start again, but then I heard another ripple of laughter. So at that point, I did what's called holding for your laugh. I looked at the page. Did I see that? And which probably got a little like, was it there? Did I imagine it? And then the laughter, and then as soon as I gave it the third wave of laughter, and it went down, I went on to the next line. So a great stand-up will do a joke, and as the laughter goes up like this, just when he feels it's starting to go down, he goes into another joke, and the laughter go. And there is a rhythm. Buddy Hackett is a great old school comedian. You could find him. Don Rickles, he's more of the insult variety.
Again, but unfortunately, two more dead people.
I know nothing but I see dead people.
No. But Larry David.
Am I okay?
You're okay. We're alive. We're alive. We'll throw some water.
But that's a beautiful thing. If a stand-up, and I've had those moments where you get into this rhythm with the audience, where whatever you say will get a laugh, because you hit a certain rhythm, and at that point you could almost say anything, and they will laugh.
It's like being a black preacher in a black church, in a sense.
With them going amen, that kind of thing?
Yeah, getting into the flow and getting the audience
well, you're
to
connecting.
respond.
You connect with the crowd.
Yeah.
And then you're all on the same page.
Right.
And so you can do anything because you're with them.
Yeah.
And they're with you. It's communication.
It is. And you feed off. You could tell in people's eyes if you can see their eyes and so on. So it's a intimate moment. But again, you don't get that so much on TV, obviously.
No, live theater, live comedy is very important. It's not the same at home. You get a shadow of what it is. But yeah, you've got to go out and see live comedians and live theater. I mean, I love movies. I'm a big movie buff. Right. Go to the movies. There's other people there, and you can share in the laughter. But yeah, theater is a communal experience. And you could sit at home and watch stuff. And I do. I watch a lot of old movies and things like that late at night, and it's fun. But to really experience something the way it should be experienced, you see a silent film like a Buster Keaton, you want to go to a theater with a guy playing the piano or bands playing, and you have the whole experience as opposed to sitting and looking at it on your phone,
That's when I first met you down the Film Forum.
What was I doing?
A show with a bunch of kids. The kids were rolling around, and you were doing.
What was I doing?
Abbott and Costello and all that.
Oh, I did
stuff.
Abbott and Costello with a partner? Yeah, I would host these. It was just like a matinee show, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was terrific. But the other thing I wanted to say now, when was the last really funny Broadway comedy that you would point to?
Oh, that I would point to. Well, Oh Mary's doing very well.
Okay, I'm not familiar
Oh,
with that.
yeah, it's called Oh Mary.
Oh Mary. What's that about?
It's about Mary Todd Lincoln. And,
really?
It's camp. It's what they used to call camp. Probably not for everybody, but there's a lot of laughs in it. I enjoyed Mr. Saturday Night with Billy Crystal. Did that on Broadway.
Okay.
There's definitely some. Nathan Lane, anything he's in is usually pretty funny.
The
Producers is very funny. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Far and few between, though, right?
Yeah. There's still some funny things.
Yeah. Do you like Larry David?
Oh, Larry David's very funny.
Why? For you, why? I adore
well,
him, too.
he's so self-absorbed. And kind of unlikable. At some point, I will say my only criticism, there's always something that he might do on the show I remember he did something on his old show that offended my wife. She didn't want to watch it anymore, because he is a bridge too far, Speaking of Chris Christie, he's a bridge too far sometimes. And you have to get past that.
Can you think of an example of that? Because,
from the show?
From Curb or...
Well, I can tell you what bothered my wife. It had to do
tell me.
With a young girl, how do I put this, experiencing womanhood for the first time in a bathroom.
Yes.
And she's
daughter of one of the executives?
And she's asking him for, I think, maybe a tampon. I'm not sure, or soliciting how to do it. Exactly. Yes, and he's outside the bathroom, and she did not find this funny, and she thought it was, whatever. So, I mean, there was an episode that I thought was very funny, but I could see some people being offended where his mother dies and nobody tells him. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And that was hilarious.
Shelley Berman is the
Shelley
father.
Berman, a brilliant comedian.
Yeah.
He gets to tell her, and she's like, why'd you tell me? Well, you were making a movie, Larry.
Yeah.
We didn't want to disturb you. She says, don't tell Larry I'm dying. We don't want to ruin his movie. He's having a good time. And that whole thing is funny. And then, of course, she's buried in sort of a non-traditional area because she had tattoos.
On her
left
buttock,
whatever. And so they decide to dig her up. They start to dig her up. And I mean, so I could see someone being a little offended by it, but personally I found that hilarious. So comedy is subjective, but I admire that he goes that extra yard, goes that extra mile, to get something out of it,
Now, trying to put yourself in his mind, what is he trying to do when he does it? Don't all really great comedians try to push the envelope?
He's trying to push the envelope.
What is he doing?
And see how far he can go.
With what? Toward what end?
Life. I mean,
to life.
And he does so many shows.
Yeah, go ahead.
He does so many shows, and you don't want to repeat yourself. And so he, let's make fun of this. Let's make fun of that.
Let's make fun.
Speaking of shows.
Oh, yes, please do.
We're limited on time.
We've got 2 minutes to go.
I'm doing a wonderful show at the Actors Temple on November 4th. It's called Mississippi Summer. And please come. I'm playing the rabbi, although I'm not a rabbi. I'm playing the rabbi in this, and this has to do with Stokely Carmichael
You're not,
and everything.
You could have fooled us.
Well, I play a rabbi.
Okay.
And it's November 4th. I'm going to have wine and cheese and snacks. It's going to be...
Put us down for 2 tickets.
All right, I'll tell them.
November
so
4th.
Please come, November 4th.
47th, 339
Yeah, there
West
is.
47th Street. Yeah, we had
Yes, you had the flyer there. The
that-
Actors Temple.
the Actors Temple. That is terrific.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, so this has been a delight. It
Oh,
really,
thank you.
It really, really has. And I'm. What do you still want to accomplish in your work? What would you like to try and still do?
I'd like to just try to do some more theater, and just reach the people and make them laugh. That's all I want to do.
And have some fresh water.
And have some fresh water, definitely.
And
Lashana Tova.
Lashana Tova,
Good Yontif.
everyone. Good Yontif.
Sei gesund.
That means Happy New Year to everybody.
Lashana Tova. You can say Shana Tova, but Lashana Tova. Sei gesund.
Everybody be well. Thank you so very, very much.
Thank you.
It's really been an honor.
They
and
got
a pleasure.
coasters here.
Coasters,
High
yeah,
class.
yep. And we thank you again. One more, the third time you get an honorary jacket.
Do I?
No, actually you don't, but you're our honorary comedian.
Oh, thank you.
We already have an Israeli historian who's been here 3 or 4 times.
Oh.
He is our honorary Israeli historian.
Oh.
Unless you want to be that too.
We'll see.
We'll see. But the third time will be the charm, and you'll be our honorary comedian.
Third time is the charm. Good night, folks.
Good night.
God bless you.
God bless you all. Thank you so very much. This is Jim Vrettos. We'll see you again next week on The Radical Imagination.